What's up guys, Reagan here, and today I'm taking a look at maybe one of the most strange and forgettable LEGO Star Wars sets of all time. This is the 75246 Death Star cannon from back in 2019, and it's just one of the weirdest choices for a set, and it came out with all the Rise of Skywalker sets for some reason. There wasn't really a set that paired with this. It was just a set with Obi-Wan Kenobi and a Death Star gunner, and it displayed the scene of the tractor beam generator and a cannon from later in the movie. Just such a weird set, in my opinion. So much so that I forgot about it until the other day when I saw a pretty good listing for this on eBay, and since I decided I'm going to do some Star Wars-based reviews, or Death Star-based reviews, due to the UCS Death Star being unveiled, I figured I might as well pick it up and give this set another look and see how, it held up. I do like the box art. I'm not a huge fan of the 2019 era Vader box art with the white greebling, but I do think it goes pretty well with the Death Star interior box art here and exterior right there. It's outer space right there. Rest of the box, nothing amazing. There's a little side art, nothing crazy on the bottom, and the back of the box shows your features. So yeah, another interesting note is that there's no minifig thing here that shows the minifigs you get. You just see them on the box, and that's what you get. All right, well, I'm gonna crack into this one, and we'll check it out. All right, breaking into this one should be pretty simple. There's just a thumb tab over here. You just push into that, pop the thing open, slide out. Looks like we have a couple numbered bags. Let's see, we've got one, two, and one more. And then we have a tiny little, this thing is tiny, really small instruction manual. Nothing crazy. And then just for some nostalgia at the back, we've got the initial Rise of Skywalker sets. Yeah, this was just so weird because you have this set, the AT-ST and Yoda, all in the middle of the Rise of Skywalker initial wave. So crazy. I just such an out of place set. Then of course we also have an ad for the Skywalker saga. I remember when this was big. Kind of crazy that we're half a decade removed from this now. But yeah, that's all the contents of the box. Nothing crazy. I'm probably gonna take 15 minutes to get it built, and then I will check back with y'all. All right, now that I have the build completed, we're gonna take a look at what we have, which as you can see is really not that much, but yeah, we'll get started with our minifigures. All right, our first minifigure here is the Death Star Gunner. I believe these guys were introduced in the 2014 Death Star Trooper Battle Pack set. Yeah, it's a really cool figure. I know you can't see it well because of the black torso, but very minimal torso outfit printing. Nice shiny material on the belt, but nothing crazy printing-wise. Underneath his helmet, you have just an Imperial officer with Mike, which looks fine. And then you have, of course, this wonderfully molded helmet with different painted details and the Imperial logo. And yeah, this figure looks really good. Definitely a must-have for a set about the Death Star cannon. You needed a Death Star gunner for your set. All right, up next, the only other figure is the Old Ben Obi-Wan Kenobi. Pretty good figure. He was exclusive to this set for about a year until the gigantic Mos Eisley Cantina set came out. I think what makes him exclusive is this brown hood piece. This was right when the new hood piece was introduced, and I gotta say, I do really like this new hood piece. I know I like the old one too, and I think both of them should be used, but I like this one a lot, and I like that there's no bridge between the gap there. I think it looks good. For some reason, this figure uses the older cape material, even though this was 5 years into when they had introduced that soft, spongy material, so I don't know what's up with that. Still looks good. I mean, you're probably not going to get it wrinkled because there's no real place on the set to get it wrinkled, but just interesting choice. Simple torso print, simple back print, and then just one simple Old Ben face print. So, yeah, solid enough figure. Not really much more you could ask for, but just nothing crazy interesting involving this one. Having taken a look at the minifigures, I gotta say, there's definitely a missing figure here. If you wanted the set to get a Death Star gunner, I definitely think there should have been another one. I mean, the Battle Pack from 5 years before this had 2 of them. Maybe you could have thrown in, a Stormtrooper, since this was the year they had introduced those new Stormtroopers. And, there's one in the scene where Obi-Wan is at the tractor beam generator.
Or maybe just include the Darth Vader so that you can have Obi-Wan and Vader fight off. I feel like this minifigure selection for $20 was lacking something. I think just one more figure of any kind really would have boosted this set, in my opinion. But yeah, that's the figures with them out of the way. Let's take a look at our build. All right, here is the build, and as you can see, half of it is the cannon and the little doorway for it to shoot out into space at, you know, the X-Wings, and then the other half is the tractor beam generator section. When building this does connect with a pin, so I thought that you might be able to detach these, but unfortunately it gets clamped on with some stud connections, and I think that's unfortunate. I feel like there would have been a lot of good play value if you had the ability to separate these and put these in two different spots. I don't know. But taking a look at the tractor beam, this is the first and I think only time the tractor beam has been represented in a set that is not one of the giant minifig compatible Death Stars. I think this is the only set where it's just the tractor beam, so I think that's pretty cool. Taking a look at it, you've got some solid building techniques around, some pretty good shaping. You've got a nice little printed control panel, and then of course you have this little lever that you can have Obi-Wan. Here, I'll actually get Obi-Wan ready. You can put Obi-Wan on the platform around the tractor beam, and then you can have him flip it, which I think looks pretty good. And then up here, this is like the lights above the tractor beam. It's not attached at all. It's just this little blue tube with this little cone piece at top that gives you the ability to pull it out. And then if you just look into the tractor beam, you can see there is, I don't know if, there we go. You can see there's that little brown Technica axle. And what that allows you to do is if you want to turn the tractor beam off, you just pull it out and that drops down. And then because of this cone, you have the ability to pull it up, set it back. If you want to do it again, you just do that. Pretty simple feature, very cool. I bet kids really had a lot of fun with that. It's kind of satisfying to drop that in there. But yeah, definitely the main part of the build is this whole cannon segment. Taking a look at like the hangar bay exit thing, I actually think they did a really good job with this doorway into space. I think the shaping and some of the detailing up along the sides and around the top, I think this looks pretty good. I think there's a decent bit of display value with this. You do have a spring-loaded shooter on the cannon, as we'll get to, and they do give you a spot to hold your extra spring-loaded shooter. There's another clip over here. I imagine if you take the pistol that the Death Star gunner has, you can just put it there, and it clips on nice and easily, just like that. Taking a look at the cannon, I did reference it against some actual images of the Death Star cannon, and it's not inaccurate. Like this piece, these bars, the general shaping is good. This does look a lot like the Death Star cannon. This red, really nice translucent red piece, it all looks a lot like the Death Star cannon. But I feel like the ones on the giant Death Stars and even in the battle pack that was, you know, 5 years before this, I think they all look better. I feel like their coloring and their just structure was just a lot cleaner and just more appealing to look at. Maybe this one's a little bit more accurate than them, but I don't know. I feel like this is one of the weaker looking Death Star cannons. In terms of playability, you do get to spin this, not a full 360, because this bar piece hits the little door, and it does the same on the other side. So, you know, I guess they don't want your cannon shooting back at the center of the Death Star, but you can spin it like a little bit more than 180, probably like 200 degrees or something like that. And it does have the ability to cant up and down, which is nice. So you do get quite a bit of motion when you're looking out your cannon, and this is pretty satisfying. The ability to move it around and aim it however you want. I bet kids had a lot of fun, you know, pretending there was an X-Wing, or even if they had a Lego X-Wing, flying it by, and then just, you know, following it and tracking it and shooting it, which is pretty cool. I think it works pretty well. So as for your gunning seat, there's no chair or control console or anything, which I think is kind of ugly. Like one more piece. There's 159 pieces in the set. You can put one chair piece in it and make it 160 pieces. There's a chair on the battle pack set, and I don't know why they didn't do that, but you do have the ability to sit your gunner down which looks pretty good, but the fact that there's no chair or control console is, I don't know, it's just bizarre. There is this little bar here. Oh, I did not mean to do that. I guess be wary of having the helmet pop off. There is this little bar here, so maybe they're wanting you to like do it like this and have him, you know, control it like that, but I don't know. This is definitely more of a playset than a display set, if you couldn't tell. But yeah, you can just set them up there. And then of course the last thing, spring-loaded shooter. Unfortunately, this one is a little, it's kind of hard to get your finger in between this and right here. And because of how loose the joint is for the tilting, you have to put your hand on it and brace before you hit on it. To demonstrate, I think we all know how spring-loaded shooters work, but just to show off, I'm gonna put Obi-Wan over here. See if you can get a good view of him. Put him right there. And then, see if I can get this to focus a little better. Here, let me do it this way. There we go. Just get him lined up, and oh, I missed. Wow. Well, I guess that's why we have an extra. Wow. Point blank. And there we go. So yeah, you can shoot at Obi-Wan. I just lost both the spring-loaded shooters. That's funny. Well, you can shoot at Obi-Wan, and that provides a lot of play. And I imagine if you actually had an X-Wing or a Y-Wing set, that would also be really fun. So yeah, that's basically all the features this set has. Let's take it to my final thoughts. All right, having taken a full look at what the set has to offer, I think it's pretty easy to see why this set is kind of forgotten. There's just nothing special about it. I don't think there ever was or really has been a demand for a combination of the tractor beam generator and the cannon. And like I said earlier, the figure selection isn't all that amazing. The gunner's nice. He's technically exclusive to this set and the advent calendar that came out this year. And like I said, Old Ben is exclusive to this set in the Mos Eisley Cantina. But I mean, neither of these figures are incredibly memorably unique or, you know, desirable. And, you know, the set didn't come with a Stormtrooper or Darth Vader or anything. And, you know, this set really isn't for display. I do like the window, but like the cannon doesn't look as good as other Death Star cannons, and this definitely isn't super displayable. It has some nice play functions. I definitely think this is satisfying, the ability to do that. And I like messing with angling the cannon, but like none of that is really worth the money for a sealed copy or a used copy. Like I don't know why you want this set. I was able to buy this set for $25, which is under its inflation-adjusted $20 retail value from 2019. That's kind of crazy. This set has gone down in value in some cases. And there's just nothing really here to talk about. I guess if you wanted it, it's not that much money. Like you could spend, you know, that much money to get, or that little money to get a nice, cheap, old Lego Star Wars set, but I really don't know why you want to. It's a cool set. It's solid. It's got some nice play functions, but I just don't think it does anything special to be all that memorable. All right, well, that's my review on the Death Star cannon. Thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned for some more Lego Death Star related views.